Hello everybody and welcome to this video. My name is George. I do fly the Boeing 787. However, today we're going to be cheating with the 777. Let's see what happens when this beast gets cranky. So let me show you what's actually going on here so you can have a look. We are doing a flight from San Francisco International all the way to Anchorage on the 777 freighter, which is the big brother of the 787. So you may wonder, why do you use the 787? Well, this one here, the PMDG 777, is a very accurate aircraft. It's very detailed, it has many features, and you can actually use it to practice on failures. I actually did program a random failure here. It turned out to be an engine failure, so you'll see how it works. So first of all, I'm not a CFI or anything, I'm not an instructor. I just want to show you how we deal with these kind of situations in real life. So let me show you here. So to give you a context of how we fly or how we execute this kind of flights, starting from the flight plan on the ground, you'll get some airports, you'll get suitable airports and adequate airports that you can use in case of emergency. And during this phase of flight, you're checking the weather for those airports and making sure that they comply with your requirements. And also, we're checking fuel, we're checking time, and making sure that everything is in a safe manner, if you will. So in that way, you will stay ahead of the aircraft all the time. It's important to be at least 5 minutes ahead of the aircraft so you know where you're going and what you're going to do next if the things don't go as planned. So let's see how to deal with this evil mind-controlling chemtrails maker. So at this moment we have caution. Take a look at the ACAS and it says engine fail. So we have a look, and as you can see, the left engine is failed. However, at this point it's very important to have a look at the parameters. As you can see, we have rotation in the N1, we have rotation in the N2. So it's not just a simple failure. By that, you can say that you have a severe damage or separation. So that's why we're going to have to do the memory items for that. There are 9 memory items on the 777, there are 10 on the 787. However, they are the same memory items, it's only one more in the 787 and it's an auto start fail. But that's it. So those memory items are actions that you have to do immediately without looking at any checklist. So you're going to have a look here what we actually have to do. So, engines that are damaged or separation memory items, it goes. Auto throttle, arm switch, left side, confirm, off. Thrust lever, affected side, left, idle, confirm, and confirm. You will say continue, but as we are by ourselves here, so we do it by yourself. Fuel control switch, affected side, left, fuel cut off, then fire switch, affected side, confirm, pull. And those are the memory items. After that, the engine is safe, we are good to go. But we have to do our drift down. Our drift down consists of setting engine out, long range cruise, so the other engine is safe. We check the maximum altitude, which is flight level 271. We set it here, and we come back and execute. And as you can see, right thrust and being off speed, the aircraft is safely going down. Another healthy thing to do is to get out of the way, because there might be aircraft around, so we don't want to mess with that. So you go ahead and set heading sail. You go select an offset of 5 miles, and that way you are out of the airway. That way you're navigating the aircraft. So that is like the second step. Then after that you communicate. You let the people on board know that they must return to the seats. We turn on the lights, so it's easier for the other aircraft to spot us. And then we let the ATC know that we're in the emergency, setting the transponder code of 7700, which is an emergency code. That is the most important part of the flight. Your first flight, then navigate, and then communicate, and that's what we did at the beginning. We fly the aircraft by doing our memory items, by taking care of the engine and doing what we have to do, then navigate, we get out of the way, we go parallel to the airway, and then we communicate. We let everybody on board know that we have a failure, that they must return to the seats. Here will be only the loadmaster, then the lights, so all the aircraft around can spot us easily, and then the ATC as we declare the emergency. And now with the aircraft under control, the plane is navigating, we are communicating. It's a nice time to do the checklist. So as you can see, it shows engine failed, but that is not the right checklist. We have to actually go and look for a non-normal checklist in the non-normal menu. Then you go to an initiated checklist, you go to engines, and then you go to engine severe damage separation left, which is the right checklist. As you can see, the memory items we did are already in green, so we can continue with the checklist, engine severe damage separation. So you start from the very beginning. It says engine severe damage or separation left. We start reading. Condition: one or more of this occurs. Airframe vibration with abnormal engine indications. Engine separation, and that's what we saw before. That's why we don't have rotation. If we only were to have an engine failure, you will see some indications of the N1 rotating, but we don't have that. So we continue with the checklist, as you can see here. Then we continue with the hard airframe vibration occurs continues after engine shutdown. Yes or no? It's not the case. So we click no, continue. Then APU selector, if available, start then on. This is spring loaded, so you pretty much press start and it comes back to on. Transponder, TA only, so we don't have resolution advisory. Plan to Avenida suitable airport. Then inhibit checklist, auto throttle left, engine fail left, and then you see flaps 20, yes or no. We're not doing that because this is more a performance thing for the go around. So we don't actually have to do that, as we are below our maximum landing weight, which is 260.8 tons. So next point, landing using flaps 20 if performance allowed. We could use that, but now we're going to help with flaps 25. With that being said, checklist is complete. We can clean the checklist and we do the assessment. So we had an engine failure. The engine was secure. We are flying the aircraft. We are navigating the aircraft, and we communicate our emergency. Now, in this phase of flight, as I mentioned before, we are within 1 hour circle of one of our suitable airports. In this case, it is Spainfield in Seattle. Very convenient for a cargo flight. So we're going to proceed there, and maybe we can even claim our warranty. So let's see what's next. So after that, we go to alternate page. We select Spainfield, we select divert now, we execute. As you can see, we're turning right, which is the airport is in your right, and you have good situational awareness. You know that's the turn that you have to take to go there. As you can see, the aircraft is flying safely, all parameters are under control. It's now a good time to set the real approach. We can go to departures and arrival, go to approach, and program the ILS from 16 right, which is the one that we got in the 80s during our flight. So we just proceed with the approach. So the ILS 2 with 16 right. We're going to be arriving at Charlie Victor Victor VOR, and we execute. And then we have to go to Lex because, as you can see, we are going direct to Painfield. So we actually want a nice path to go down safely to make it easier for the aircraft to fly. You throw in the left one, execute, and now you have a nice route. And you can actually go to plan and see how the drawing looks. Looks fine for me. Looks very accurate, and I will show you the chart. Then after that, we go ahead and set our route 2. For that, you go to route 2 and you can set anything you want there, like an engine failure or going to another airport. But so we are already going there. We are pretty much going to set it in agreement in case we need to use this page. Then after that you go to alternate, but since you're already going there, you have nothing to change there. In our fixed page, you'll see that we have the 60-minute circle, which is roughly 434 nautical miles. But not that we don't need it, we can erase them, and you can set anything you need to set there. For example, if you were to land in a mountainous area, you will set like a radio from any VOR that you don't want to overshoot, or just to put a go-around procedure there, like to show you roughly what it is in case you lose navigation or something like that. It's a very useful feature, but we're not going to set anything there. Then after, we go to radio navigation, and we're going to set fixed VOR, which is from Painfield there, because as it changed by itself, we don't want that to happen. So we're going to leave that frequency there. As you can see, is Painfield VOR there. So that's pretty much the navigation part. And then after, we have to go ahead and set the minimums for the approach, which is 770 feet. And this is quite a pain in the ass to get the correct numbers there. Let me try. Oops, way too much. No, way too little. There you go. 770 feet are set. And we do the same on the other side. Since we are by ourselves, we have to do it ourselves, right? And there you go. Navigation is set. And the other thing that we need to do is the performance. You usually get an EFB, which has an OTP. OTP stands for Board Performance Tool, where you put the weather on the destination airport. Like, for example, you set the winds, you set the temperature, and you set the altimeter setting, and the weight of the aircraft. And you'll actually get the data from the landing distance available, and to see if we actually fit in the runway or not. But since we don't have that particular feature available here, we also could use the QRH, which is the Quick Reference Handbook. We can see the performance for the aircraft. But we already know where we're going, so we're going to assume that we did that. Never assume in real life, but since we're in the scene, we are going to assume that we fit, and we're going to be using this data. So at this point, we can preset our altimeter setting, which is 29907, and then we can go ahead and select braking action, which we already have. So we're going to be selecting braking of 3 is set. Then after that, we go to check the weight. We're going to be landing. We have to actually go ahead and look at the zero fuel weight plus the landing fuel. Landing fuel is going to be 22.3 tons. So if we add that, we're going to have 240.3 tons. So then after that, we select flaps 25, which has a speed of 152 knots. And there, you can see there that we can see our VREF for flaps 25. So that covers our performance. As you can see, we fitting the runway. We did the calculations required for that. Hopefully PMDG will come up with an EFB for this version of the 777, and we can do it even better. So now it's a good moment to have a look of these ACAS measures that we have, which says fuel imbalance. We know that the reason for this is due to the engine failure, since the engine feeds itself from its main tank. So in this case, the engine is shut down, so that tank is full of fuel, to say it that way. The only thing that tank is providing is the APU, but the other tank, the other engine is taking fuel from the other tank, so that's why we're going to have an imbalance. But we're going to do the checklist anyways, just to make sure that everything is all right. So that way we can continue with our aircraft as clean as we can. Now I hope you had a good time to take a look at the chart and do the briefing with your colleague. We're actually going to have a look at the chart, the approach chart, look at the values. As you can see here, this is the chart that we're going to be using. I will let the briefing to you, so you can see what we did and what we're going to do. Then you talk about the terrain, then you talk about the weather, you talk about the fuel remaining, and you talk about the performance and how you're going to do the go around. Since we have an engine failure, it is very important to be aware of what you're going to do. And after that, all that's left is pretty much to start the descent checklist and the descent itself. Look at that. So as you can see, the engine is pretty much stuck. So we only have one evil mind controlling chimtrail maker, so it's not that efficient anymore. So now what we can do is go ahead and proceed with the descent checklist, because we're getting close to our descent point. So descent checklist, recall, let's check. We know what we have, notes. There's a point here that we don't have, so we don't have notes. Our brake set on 3. Then landing there a bit of minimums. RF 25 152 and minimum 770. And approach briefing is complete. So the descent checklist is complete. Now let's descend. So let's shoot the approach. So now we're reaching 3,000 feet, which is going to be the altitude that we are going to be using for our glide slope interception, the final approach fix. Pointers are okay, everything is okay, so we can arm the approach. So you can see local glide slope is on. Lock is in green on the FMA. We help a little bit the plane here, just so we don't have to level off. Go to vertical speed and use 100 or 200 feet per minute, so we can catch up with the glide slope. Alright, so glide slope is green, Orb's approach altitude is 3,000 feet, which is already set. So we can continue. So we can start reducing our speed. This is up to you. You can go even further down with only flaps 5. And then after, you just go all the way to flaps 20 with gear down flaps 20, and the aircraft will brake just fine. But since we are taking our time here, let's do it this way. Okay, red altimeter live, QNH is 299.6, and cross check. Alright, gear down, speed brake is armed, and flaps 20. Oh, we'll clear to land. We turn on the nose landing light and acknowledge. We can set our BRF for flaps 20. Then we go to flaps 25. And that's our BRF, sorry. Now we set the BRF plus 5, which will be 157. And when we have flaps 25, we can do the landing checklist. We don't have to read it, we just look that everything is in green, and landing checklist is complete. $1,000 stabilize, but we are actually 1,500, so I don't know what was that, but we are stable at this point. Land 3, it means that the aircraft is fully ready to do an auto-land, roll-out flare, but what's the fun of that? So let's turn off the autopilot off. Recall that we are approaching the runway 16 right. We have a right crosswind, but we try to move the control as little as we can. We try to be smooth. You don't have to actually go crazy with the controls. You just go as easy as you can. Alright, so 500 feet, we are clear to land. Runway 16 right. Correcting a little bit the profile there, not more than 1,000 feet per minute.
Approaching minimums.
Runway is inside.
Minimums.
Continue. We start the flare there, reduce power.
10.
Touchdown, speed brake is up. And no reverse left, that's the call out, no reverse left. 60 knots, so reverse comes off, and manual braking. So there you go, we are safely on the ground, we handled the situation just fine. So after the reversers back on idle, we check time for 5 minutes engine cool down. So we can turn here to get out of the runway by our own means. Oh, look at the shadow, that's embarrassing. Okay, so we leave the runway, we go to the Boeing hangar somewhere, and there you go. Right, so we now arrived to our parking position. So parking brake is set. Time is up. 5 minutes has passed. So APU is running. We can shut down the right engine. Thank you very much for not failing. So the procedure is we turn the seat belts off. And that's the trigger for the procedure. So hydraulic pumps all come off. Fuel pumps off. Beacon and wing off, flight director off, and transponder in off. And then we set this is the same flow for the captain side, flight director off, and that's it. And now it's time for our shutdown checklist. So parking brake is set and shutdown checklist is complete. Okay, so that's the last part of the flight. I hope you enjoyed. This is how we actually deal with an engine failure. Of course, in real life, there's two of us in the cockpit. So we didn't get to go to Alaska, but we're here in Seattle. Maybe we'll be able to see Pearl Jam. So if you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing and maybe give it a thumbs up. And let me know in the comment section below what would you like to see next. Oh, look at that. So this is the video how to deal with an engine failure, how to land the aircraft, approach and land, and how to suck at parking. Thank you very much for watching. Stay tuned for more.